Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Kaveri Seed Company Limited Q4 FY21 earnings conference call. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal the operator by pressing star then 0 on your touch-tone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Rishabh Barar from CDR India. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Kaveri Seed Company Limited's Q4 and FY21 conference call. We have with us today Mr. Mithun Chand, the Executive Director. Before we begin, I would like to point out that certain statements made or discussed on the conference call today may be forward-looking in nature and must be viewed in conjunction with the risks that the company faces. The company does not undertake to update them. A statement in this regard is available for reference in the presentation. We will begin the call with opening remarks from Mr. Mithun Chand, who will address updates on the market environment and take you through the strategic imperatives of the company. We will then have the forum open for an interactive question and answer session. I would now like to invite Mr. Mithun Chand to share his views. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Rishabh. Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this call. I hope everyone is safe and healthy amid this pandemic. I am delighted to connect with you at the end of the year, wherein Kaveri Seed Company became the first seed producer in India with more than 1 lakh acres under seed production. Let me share some perspective with you regarding performance during financial year 21. The year in retrospect was one that was driven by robust growth. For financial year 21, revenue stood at rupees 1,003 crores versus 930 crores last year, a growth of about 11.39%. Operating EBITDA margins excluding other income stood at 28.76% versus 27.22% in financial year 20. PAT at rupees 311 crores versus 259 crores in financial year 20. Cash on books as on March 21 stood at 533 crores. For quarter 4 financial year 21, revenue stood at 64.25 crores versus 63.12 crores in quarter 4 20. Moving on to crop price performance, cotton acreages are marginally higher on a year-on-year basis by 1.9%, which is equivalent to 2.38 lakh acres. Increases were seen in the states of Telangana, Karnataka and Punjab, but lower acreages in AP, Gujarat, Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra. Overall maize acreages were almost stable, increasing by about 1%. The area in Kharif was higher, while Rabi area was lower due to poor commodity prices. Acreages increased in Karnataka, Punjab and Tamil Nadu. Rice area has increased 8.1% year on year. The main increase has been witnessed in main states of Telangana, West Bengal, MP, Jharkhand and Bihar. Our performance during the year as well as our outlook is driven by the intense focus on R&D and supply chain. Contribution from new products continues to be high. Selection rice volumes are up by 47.11% in financial year 21. New products have scaled up on the back of growth in Chintu 828, Sampurna and KV99. Hybrid rice volumes have increased by 48.26% in financial year 21. Introduction of new hybrid 7299, 471, 473 helped towards increasing growth. Contribution of new hybrids went up from 51.05% to 68.17%. Vegetable sales volumes increased by 56.19%. Major growth was driven by hot pepper, tomato growth and okra. In hot pepper, growth came from KP, KHPH 1213, KHPH 1217 and KHPH 1225. In tomato, growth came from KTH 354 and KTH 355. In okra, from KOKH 1107. From being a predominantly cotton seed company, we have diversified strongly into maize, rice, hybrids, and vegetables. While cotton will continue to be a larger contributor to our performance, our thrust will continue to on expanding our non-cotton revenues. I'm happy that the year has ended on a positive note. Although quarter four is usually a lean quarter, we are overall glad with our achievements throughout the pandemic, with strong focus on R&D, automation, cost rationalization, and supply chain as well. With that, I conclude my opening comments, and I have the floor open for an interactive Q&A session.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with the question and answer session. Anyone wishing to ask a question may please press star and one on your touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and two. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is on the line of Rohit Nagraj from Sunidhi Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity and congratulations on a good FY21. So the first question is in terms of the last couple of months, that is April and May. So we have seen another wave of COVID and lockdowns. So have we faced any kind of logistics or supply chain related challenges, and have they affected our product placement? Thank you.
Hi. Yes, we have seen challenges in this pandemic time, but as we are facing it for the last 1 year. In fact, last year also it was much severe than this year. We were able to manage it. With that experience, now we are able to manage it much better. Even though we have challenges, we have overcome most of the challenges, and the placement as compared to the competitors or compared to our internal estimates, it's in line, and we are not much affected with that. All the placements are very much there in the market.
Right, understood. So the second question is in terms of the vegetables market. So we have been quite confident about it. We have reached about 40 crores of sales, 100 crores over the next few years. So what is the strategy that we are using here? Are we using the same channels that we are using for our other products, or there is some different strategy to penetrate this market? Thank you.
As we were saying from a couple of years, as we have intensified our R&D program in the last 8-10 years, and we have very good set of pipeline hybrids in the main focus crops like tomato, okra, hot pepper, and goats. So these are the markets where we are focusing more, and we have very good hybrids which are launched in the previous years, and that is what which is resulting in the revenue. And if you see year-on-year basis, we have grown by more than 50% for the last 3-4 years. And even this year with a decent base of 24 crores, we have grown by other 54%. I think the vegetable segment is growing, as a segment itself is growing much faster than the normal field crops. And we are focusing more on vegetables. And with the present set of hybrids which are already placed, and with the set of hybrids we are going to launch in the coming years, we are pretty confident that we can easily reach to the 100 crore mark in the next 2 to 3 years.
Right. Just a light question to this. In terms of our distribution and reach to different geographies, how are we placed, and are there any nascent geographies where we have not yet entered, and those probably would have further growth potential? Thank you.
We are there in almost all parts of across India. I think we are the only company in India who has got the largest distribution network across India, because we have a diversified portfolio and we are strong in most of the areas where we operate. There are very few areas where we are left out. In fact, we operate in more than 26 states across India. There are very few states where we don't operate, wherein the demand for us is, I mean to say, the areas like Jammu or somewhere like Goa, where we don't see much of a demand for our products what we sell. But overall, if you see the overall on the market trend, we are almost there in most of the areas. Yes, some areas we are less penetrative and some areas we are aggressive, but we are trying to increase our network and penetration in the areas where we are not having the stronghold. But that's a continuous activity, and we tend to do that going forward. as we enter new segments.
Right. Thanks a lot for the answers and best of luck, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sarvesh Gupta from Maximal Capital. Please go ahead.
Sir, first question is on the buyback. So last quarter you had said that since on 12 months have just recently expired, you will discuss it in future board meetings and let us know. So is there a change in the stance with respect to the cash distribution to the shareholders, given that we are well past the 12 months gap, which is regulatory requirement for the buyback from the last buyback? So that is question number one.
In terms of the buyback, the board is continuously working on it on a strategy to reward shareholders and to increase the share. I would say to have a formulate a strategy to have a growth for the company and in turn reward the shareholders. Definitely by next quarter end, we might formulate a strategy for that, and definitely we'll let you know once the board clears it. The board is continuously working on it. It may take other one quarter for us to formulate a strategy on that.
No, but this 200 crore sort of a buyback that we have been doing in the last 3-4 years, is that expected to continue, or is there any change because we continue to generate equal amount of cash as we were in the previous years?
Yeah, as per our intention is that we want to reward shareholders, but as we are doing for the last 3-4 years, the board is trying to formulate a strategy for the growth of the company as well, with rewarding it, with keeping in mind the shareholder interest. So definitely by next quarter end, we'll definitely get back with the strategy. Because of the pandemic and other being the season, start of the season, we were not able to formulate a strategy, but definitely by next quarter end meeting, we'll have a clarity on that.
Okay. Secondly, sir, our employee cost has seen a 25% increase this overall year, while where sales growth is only 10-11%. So I could not understand why we will see such a high increase in the employee cost. Are there some one-off payment to directors or something else which has happened? What is the reason behind it?
Nothing. If you see the employee cost, we are continuously increasing our strength in the R&D compared to previous year. The employee headcount has also gone up by more than 12 to 15% compared to previous year, as we are investing more in R&D and we want to focus more on newer areas. That is one part of it. And the other thing regarding the ESOP, what we have allotted to the employees, that also is a notional cost which is carried in the fourth quarter. That also ranges to 4 to 5 crores. That's a notional cost in the P&L account.
That is 5 crores.
Yeah, 4 to 5 crores of the employees, because you all are aware that we have given ESOPs to the employees in our trust. So that's the additional cost which is hitting the employee cost. Apart from that, nothing, no compensation. I mean to say no incentives or nothing is paid to the director or any other employee.
Okay. On the cotton business, sir, this year I saw your inventories are higher by around 10% compared to last year. So what is the outlook now that we are already reached end of May? So what is the kind of outlook on the packets, of packets for this year in terms of growth versus last year, given also significant increase in the cotton prices compared to last year?
I don't know whether I got the number of the inventory of the 10 lakhs higher than last year. But
I'm just going by the inventory value on your balance sheet as on 31st.
No, there are other crops as well. The inventory value has gone up in maize and rice, which is a growing crop, and we want to keep some buffer stock for that. I don't think cotton as an inventory has gone up. I mean to say like 10-15% up than last year. It should be in line with last year numbers. I will give a clarity later on. But in terms of the pricing, yes, the cost, the price, the MRP has been increased either 4 or 5% this year. Last year, 35 rupees compared to previous year. So that's again a plus point for the company. What we can retain, that we need to see now. And in terms of the sentiment for the cotton crop, it should remain stable. only alternate crops have also done well. Even though the commodity prices are up, but the sentiment among the farmers are mixed sentiment. In some crops, the other crops, like for example, Gujarat, Maharashtra, soya, alternate crops like soya and groundnut were also have performed well last year. Only in Telangana we see a positivity for cotton, but overall if you see the cotton acreage should remain stable compared to previous year.
Okay. So against the earlier long-term guidance of maybe 10% odd growth in cotton and 20% growth in non-cotton, for this year, should we assume that there will be 0% or 5% growth because of the sales price increase in cotton, 0 to 5% in cotton, and 20-25% in non-cotton? Is that sort of a guidance for this year?
Yeah, if you see last year, we have said if you see the growth in non-cotton segment is more than 26-27%. Compared to previous year, and cotton we are slightly lower. We still stick to the guidance of 10 to 15% as an overall growth, saying that 5 to 10% in cotton and 15 to 20% in non-cotton. We still have the same guidance. That might be a contribution of the price and some with the contribution of the volume. As we are increasing our market share in some of the areas, so that also should translate for our growth in cotton. But anyhow, as I said, that cotton should be a stable crop, but non-cotton crops are doing well. So we are focusing more on non-cotton crops. Overall, we should be in that 10 to 15% range.
Understood, sir. Thank you, and I'll join back in that.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. That is from the line of Sumant Kumar from Motilal Oswal. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Mr. So my question related to cotton. So what's your view on acreage, sowing acreage for cotton? Number one. Number two, if there is you're talking about 5 to 10% growth, so overall the major growth is going to happen through volume and value.
So as you can see, the overall acreages, as I explained earlier, the cotton acreages should remain stable. I mean to say it should be more in plus or minus of 2% compared to previous year. And in terms of the prices are up by 4 to 5% this year, and we see a slightly increase in volume. So the cotton growth, both in terms of the price and in terms of the volume, it should be in between 5 to 10%. So we still stick with that guidance.
Okay. So overall, the sales volume in FY22 should cross FY20 level, 7.23 minimum.
It should. It looks like it should be slightly in line with last year numbers. But it's too early. We need to see the monsoon, arrival of the monsoon. Right now it's just delayed by 2 days. It should not impact cotton crop, but we need to see. As of now, it looks like that.
So your commentary is overall cotton sowing is likely to be a couple of percentage higher than FY21 level, right? So
no, what I mean to say, it should be stable, plus or minus 2%. It looks like.
Okay. So in that case, if we are saying 5 to 10%, and if the 5% growth is going to happen in the cotton side, so can we assume the FY20 we have sold a 7.23 million packet, and FY21 we have sold a 7.1, right? So overall FY22 should be a level of FY20 or higher than that volume terms?
We are seeing at least 2 to 5% growth in the volume that we need. We should be in line with that number.
So in that case,
what we see is that 5% growth in the what we see is that 5% growth in the revenue segment and 2 to 5% growth in the volume segment.
Volume segment. So in that case, are we not gaining market share in cotton segment?
Definitely, we are gaining market share.
Pan India level, I am talking.
Yeah, we are gaining market share across most of the places. Only in Telangana and Andhra we lost market share, but across all the states we are gaining market share.
Okay. Overall, can you talk about how much market share we have in Pan India and how much market share we gained in FY21?
So we have gained close to 0.5% or so last year in terms of the market share. We are close to that 17% or now.
Okay. So we are expecting a further market share expansion.
Yes. We are even seeing a good growth in Northern India this year and even Telangana also.
So overall, what the overall we are hearing, there is a higher oilseed prices. Soybean is likely to be higher sowing in this time. So are the cotton area is going to soybean side? Any crop pattern shift can you talk about in your key market?
But when we talk about the across overall India, that's where we say it should be stable. Because in some areas like Maharashtra or Gujarat, it may come down, whereas in Telangana and AP, the cotton might go up. Even in Karnataka, the cotton might grow up. So overall, if you see, even in Maharashtra, there are some areas where the cotton should come down, where the cotton should go up. There are some areas. So overall, we see it should remain stable.
Okay. And what about the maize? The current scenario, the overall all the prices are up. Is crop pattern shift is going to favor maize, or still the maize is likely to be a similar level of FY21?
Maize last year Kharif was good. Rabi was bad when compared to Kharif, but Rabi the prices were pretty low. That also impacted, and the late crop also impacted maize crop last year in terms of Rabi. But right now, in the last 2 months, maize commodity prices have also improved. So the sentiment has slightly come back in terms of maize. So we see the maize acreages also should be in line with last year's Kharif area. So it should be good.
It should be good. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to address questions from all participants in this conference, we request you to limit your questions to 2 per participant only. If time permits, you can come back in the question queue for a follow-up question. The next question is from the line of Viraj from Securities Investment Management. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity. Most of my questions have been answered. I just have one question. For maize and rice, how would have our mix in terms of core states and new states would have changed, and what is our market share now in the new states?
In terms of the mix, we already given in the presentation. Right now, I don't have the presentation as on hand, but it's already there in the presentation. The contribution of the new products for all the crops. Can I get to your next question? What was the other one?
So next question was on the market share for maize and rice. What is the market share now? Overall and also in new states.
We have increased market shares in rice in the last 3 years. We are almost close to 10% market share in rice the last year, and we still see a market share growth even this year. And even in maize, we are improving our market share. We are close to the 10-11% market share even in maize.
Who are we gaining from, sir? I mean, just to understand, because the market is relatively more concentrated in these 2 crops. So
it's very difficult to say whom we are gaining from, because we have just gained 0.5% or 2%. So that should not impact much of the other parties. There are so many players in the industry. So it's some weaker parties are losing. We can't clearly point out that some them we are gaining it. But overall, we are gaining a market share.
Okay. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Ashish Agarwal from Pareto Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello. Thank you for taking my questions. Thanks for the opportunity. First of all, congratulations on a good financial year, and I hope you and your families are keeping safe and fine. So I have 2 questions regarding your growth plans. So one, I noticed that you've crossed 1 lakh acres of farmland under cultivation for production of seeds. Until last year, you were reporting this number at 65,000 plus. So I wanted to understand what is the percentage increase that we are seeing. I mean, like, what was it, say, last year, say about 70,000 or 80,000, and what is it this year? And do we expect a similar trajectory in revenues going forward?
It is clearly talk about the production acreages. It's up by more than 25% compared to previous year. And most of the acreages have gone up in the production for maize and rice. And the other also like bajra and vegetables have also gone up. To straight away come to your question, we can't directly relate that to the increase in the production. The increase in the production area doesn't translate to the revenue. Sometimes we plan in ahead for some inventory and for the buffer stock.
I'm sorry, I missed
the... on the crop to crop.
Sorry?
That all even that depends to the crop to crop.
Okay. So basically you're saying that this has gone up by 25%, but it may not necessarily translate similarly into revenues. Is my understanding correct?
Yes, yes.
Got it. So second question is, you've been also investing a lot in manpower resources, as you mentioned. So if you could just, quantify where from your employee strength has gone up from where to where. And of course, one part of it is in R&D. So if you could throw some light as to what kind of increased number of personnel in R&D that you're looking at, and whether you require additional manpower investments on the other lines of activities also.
So if you see the employee cost, the permanent employees are close to like 1,050, close to 1,050 compared to 930 last year, it's up by close to 12 to 14%. Majority of the employees have gone into R&D and the supply chain. As we have supply chain include the production also. So these are the two areas where we are seeing increase in the majority of the workforce has gone into, and some in the marketing part where we are entering into new segments.
So do you think that your manpower requirement will increase at a similar pace, or you think you're good for at this level for the next, say, 2 or 3 years?
It should be good for that unless and until we grow much faster than what we estimate. Otherwise, if you see what we are spending even now, what the majority of the headquarters have increased in R&D. So that translates to the after a couple of years.
Got it, sure.
We are investing for that. But in terms of the market, for your question, in terms of the market, we are very much we don't require much of a manpower really in terms.
Got it. Sure. Thank you so much. I'll get back in the queue and wish you all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rajneesh Menon from Master Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. So my question is regarding your subsidiaries. Like I could see on your website, there were the numbers are given only till 2018. So you had a subsidiary, Kaveri Microtech, which was, I think, doing crop protection, some fungicides, pesticides, and biofertilizers and all you had started. So how do you see that? I mean, is it still there, and how is that business growing? And we have so much cash. Are we planning anything? Deploying some cash over there and growing that side of business? Which is again a very big business as far as size is concerned, crop protection and micronutrients and all that.
Yeah. As you rightly said, we deal with the micronutrients and bioproducts. Bioproducts include biopesticides and biofungicides, both, and including the growth promoters. Basically, it's all about bio. We don't do any chemical activity except for the nutrients. So we are focusing on that. We are developing those products. Year on year, they are growing by more than 10 to 15% as a revenue, but with a very small base. We are basically concentrating on the products. In terms of the cash deployment, it's a cash generating company. It's a zero debt company, and every year we generate cash from that entity as well. So we don't require any cash deployment in that. But as you said, that's a very big market and a growing market. But it's a very crowded market and very competitive market because most of them have got those type of molecules or those type of chemicals. It's not like a feed, it's like a push product. So we are focusing more on the product end. After the product end, we can easily market across India. We are slowly adding some space to it. Down the line, next 3 years, even that should have a good contribution to the top line.
Okay. No, cash deployment I meant was that we have so much cash in the book. So maybe if we are looking out for some acquisition in that, like if we are not able to grow, so maybe we can acquire some brands or some small companies available in those lines, in that crop protection and.
To be frank, as of now, we are not looking to acquire any companies in those segments because we have enough products and enough work has already been done in the company at the company's end, and we are marketing. And if you see, the majority of the revenues are from only in Karnataka because we have only started in these 2 states. In the recent 3 or 4 years, we expanded to other 6 states. So that is also picking up. Once we have enough,
sorry.
Once we have enough
channel is same, right?
No. We operate on a different company itself. The employees are different. The staff is different because it's a year-long business, whereas seed is a very short window.
Okay. And sir, my second question is regarding the seed business. There also, are you looking to use this cash for some, because the company is growing at 10 to 15%, like, is the management's vision like if we want to grow at 20-25%? So what are the, thinking on those lines in acquisitions of some seeds business or some products where we are not present right now?
We are already working on that. For example, if you see the vegetable segment, which was, even though we were very weak in that segment. If you say in the last 8-10 years, we are focusing more on that. Now you are seeing a decent size of vegetables, and we are almost there by 40% vegetables compared to less than 1 crore 4 years back. Sorry. So we are focusing on those crops, including mustard. We have entered in the last couple of years when we see a mustard as a good crop. So we are exploring all other options, and that's the reason we have said that the board is formulating a strategy to utilize the cash in a proper way for the growth. That's the reason where we are working on it. Once the strategy is formulated, definitely we will get back to the investors and tell what our growth plans are going forward.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. That is from the line of Nitin Awasthi from East India Securities. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. The first question would be, there was an article which stated that Monsanto and Nuvisu have reached a settlement on their whole seed dispute. Now, where do we stand in that whole dispute? And what is the settlement? How does it impact the previous judgment of royalty and everything, in that whole big debate that has happened for so many years?
Frankly, I don't have the idea about their judgment and the settlement. But when compared to our company, it's Monsanto, we don't have any pending litigation or any litigation as such. All the litigation was cleared long back, and we don't have any as of now. And that will not impact our royalty portion for the previous or the present. How going to judge based on that basis.
Okay, noted, sir. So the second question would be, since oilseed acreage is expanding rapidly in the country and the government is also giving it a big push, and in the conversation itself you had mentioned mustard sometime back. So I would just like to ask you, what's the out of the total portfolio revenue-wise, what is the portfolio size of oilseeds? What is the dominating oilseeds? And how is the focus and growth of coming on in that division? Because what I am seeing is a lot of these government institutes are doing a lot of work and patenting a lot of things around this. So are we also, gaining ground on the oilseeds front? Do you see an actual path where oilseeds could become the next big thing in India?
Yeah, if you see the oilseeds, most of them is like soya or groundnut or sunflower or mustard. But we work only in the places where the hybridization is possible. So we are working, that reason we are working in sunflower. Now we are working in mustard. Wherever there is a scope for hybridization, we are working in that segment. As rightly said, going forward, mustard looks a very good crop for us. Because the government is also saying that doubling of the farm income, and we are importing most of the oil from other states, other countries. So mustard looks good for us. That's the reason we are focusing on mustard for the last couple of years. As of now, it's very small, but going forward, it might be good.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering all the questions.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Rohan Modi from RRN Advisors. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Sir, my question is, how you maintain your working cycle throughout your by quarter? Can you explain that?
Sorry?
How you maintain your working capital cycle throughout your by quarter? Can you explain quarter by quarter your working capital cycle?
So we get advances from the distributors in the in the last quarter of the year. That we utilize is to pay to the farmer, that is the production farmer. And after June, we get the amount from the distributors, and this is from the distributor for the sale. So usually we don't see any working capital pressure as such, and here we have the enough cash to use for the working capital. In fact, if you see, it should be a negative working capital for us.
Okay. So you are maintaining by taking advance and payable to the farmer.
Yes.
So how is the term to the farmer? How much you pay to the farmer?
Farmers in the sense is the production farmers, not the normal commercial farmers. Production farmers is what we pay for the raw material.
Yeah. So which stage you pay the farmer?
That all depends on the crop to crop, location to location, area to area. So that each have different terms, but most of the payment is done after we receive the crop.
So you are growing in Rabi season or Kharif season?
Both across the year we produce different crops. We produce across the year. For example, cotton we produce in Kharif, and the duration is also higher. The other crops we produce in Kharif, wherein the duration is lower. That all depends on the crop to crop, area to area, hybrid to hybrid. It all depends on that.
Okay. So some payment are done half production, and some payment are done after fully product.
Yes.
Okay. And you are given in terms of.
Mr. Modi, may we request that you return to the question queue? There are participants waiting for their turn.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Himanshu Upadhyay from PGIM India Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. My first question was on the cotton side. The government has allowed for a price rise of 37 rupees for this financial year or crop sowing. How has that 37 flowed in the market, and have people raised the prices, or you think price rise has been much minor in the market? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, definitely the government order, the MRP has increased more than 37 rupees. That is close to 5% of the previous year price. That all depends on the company to company, how much they realize from the increased product. As we sell on demand and we don't push and we don't, as they say, pull from the farmer side, we think out of this 37 rupees, at least 20 rupees can be retained from the company. Other 17 rupees we need to see as of now. That's because we need to share with the distribution channel or not. But 20 rupees for sure will be from the company side.
Okay. And see, in some of the markets, AP and Telangana, on cotton, where we have lost certain amount of market share, over the last few years. What would be our strategy to get back market share or grow? And any thoughts you can provide on that, or on how you are thinking about those things?
Yeah, definitely we have lost some market shares in the last couple of years, but we are working back to increase our market shares. This year we think that we can slightly increase our market shares compared to previous year. We have introduced new products. We have identified dealers, good areas where we can support without giving much of a credit. So these are the strategies which we are following, and we have done enough farmer engagement programs also. So we should see that how we can how best we can see to increase the market share this year. We have put our effort in that.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Samay Sabnis from Pareto Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, good afternoon, sir. So I would like to start by asking.
Mr. Sabnis, we are not able to hear you clearly. Mr.
Hello?
Simon?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. So, I would like to ask, what is your state-wise contribution in rice and cotton?
Sorry, state-wise contribution?
State-wise revenue contribution in rice and cotton.
So we don't, as a company policy, we have stopped giving state-wise contribution. It will help competitors, so that we have stopped that.
Okay. And for FY22, can you give me the projections of volume and value in cotton, maize, hybrid rice, and selection rice?
I've already explained it earlier, saying that cotton should be between 5 and 10%. 5% should be value, and 2 to 5% should be volume. And various other components, it should be a combination of both. Majority of that will be driven by the volume.
Okay. And regarding cotton, your product ATM, that seems to be quite old right now because it was launched way back in FY14, and I think it still contributes a lion's share of your revenue. So in cotton, do you see growth there, or like products like Viplav and Moneymaker will also contribute to the growth?
I think as of now, Moneymaker is the largest contributor in the company, not ATM. Anyhow, ATM will continue to be one of the strongest contributors at least for the next 2 to 3 years. The other products like Viplav and other hybrids what we have launched will definitely add to the revenue. But these will continue to be top 3 or 4 revenue makers in the next 3 to 4 years.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Chetan Thakkar from ASK Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So just 2 questions. One was, what was the overall maize size in terms of tonnage last year? And second is, if you can throw some light into the profitability for the cotton portfolio anticipated in 22, given the cost benefit that we are likely to witness, and even the some amount of price increases that we can retain.
Regarding cotton, we see at least 4 to 5% increase in the realization compared to previous year. So that should be directly come to the bottom line. 3% is from the 2.5 to 3% is from the increase in the price, and 2 to 3% from the decrease in the cost of production. So overall, it should be like 5 to 6% should be the contribution of growth in the cotton segment. What was the other part?
The total maize market size last year.
The market size last year was around
in terms of
close.
tonnage. Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, sir. So just a broad estimate in terms of tonnage.
Yeah, it was in between 8,500 to 9,000. 85,000 to 93,000 tons. 5,000 tons to 90,000 tons.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. That's helpful.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nitish Shah from Equitas Wealth. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I recently read that few of the states have banned glyphosate. So how do you think that will impact our demand? And the second thing is...
Can you come back with the question, please?
Yeah, sir, I was saying that recently some of the states have banned sale of glyphosate. So how
Glyphosate.
Okay. Yeah. So how do you think that will impact this HTBT and ultimately our cottonseed sales?
We don't do anything in HTBT. HTBT is a legal seed. Definitely government is trying to cut down the illegal BT. We need to see how it works out. So most of the state governments are doing for the last couple of years, but they were not successful in doing it. But we need to see how it shapes up this year. But as a company, we don't deal with HTBT, so it should not impact much for us.
Okay. Sir, I wanted to understand more on the side that it will have a positive effect on us this year, or will it start impacting us next year positively?
I don't see that will have much of a positive impact, but because last couple of years also, We have seen government banning it, but still the farmers are using it and getting it in a illegal way. But now, right now, because of the COVID condition, and governments, most of the state governments are even imposing PDO Act on them. We need to see how they can control it. But I don't see much of a decline in the illegal meat this year compared to previous year.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Dikshit Doshi from Whitestone Financial Advisors Private Limited. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Firstly, can you give us how much was the sale from export this year, and how do you see it next over, let's say, next 3-4 years, where it can reach?
Compared to previous year, the exports are slightly down this year because of the pandemic situation. We are not able to export to other countries. We have seen a 10 to 12% decline in exports, but going forward, exports should contribute well, and we see at least 15 to 20% growth in exports in component in the next 4 years.
How much was the sale for export this year?
It was close to 20 crores last year. It was something like 17-18 crores this year.
Okay. And one last question from my side. So, I'm sure you must have clarified that in earlier calls, but since I was listening this call for the first time, can you mention why some of the seed companies are paying income tax and we not paying income tax?
So it all depends on the company policies that we can't comment as such, but we are claiming it as an agriculture income. That's the reason we have followed this page.
Okay.
Thank you. The next question is on the line of Manoj Shah from Laxflow Investments. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. My question is with respect to the cash on the books. Do you have any plans to go for any acquisition of the companies in the near future?
We see in the last years, previous years, we already distributed to the shareholders, so by dividend or the buyback. But this year, we are formulating a strategy as a long-term strategy for the growth of the company and to reward shareholders. So that strategy we are formulating it. It will take a couple of months more. But most probably the next quarter we can give the strategy. But we are working with the growth and to benefit the shareholders in the long term.
Okay, but specifically, do you will be able to get a clarity once the strategy is formulated? Yes. That's what you're saying for the acquisition?
Yes. We are always open for the acquisition. Last time also, many years back also we said that we are open for acquisitions, but provided that we need to rightly fit into the company products. So that we are always exploring. If we are not able to utilize cash properly, definitely we want to reward it to the shareholders.
Okay. And how is the trends for this quarter? Like this April to June quarter is your main quarter where you derive a larger chunk of the revenue. So how's these 2 months have fared so far?
So it's too early, and the monsoon is yet to arrive. So majority of the sale comes only after the monsoon has hit. So right now it's just a placement. Not much of a liquidation has been done. But in terms of the placements, it's in line with our expectations.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management is able to address questions from all participants in this conference, we request you to limit your questions to one per participant only. The next question is from the line of Sarvesh Gupta from Maximal Capital. Please go ahead.
There's just one question on this cotton seed price increase. So out of this 5% hike, this will straight away flow to the bottom line, right? I mean, all of it.
In the earlier question also I explained that out of the 37 questions, 20 crore rupees should come back to the company, and another 70 rupees will decide whether that all depends on the market conditions, whether that need to be shared with the distributor or someone else. But 20 rupees is what to expect.
Sorry, 20. What was the number, sir? I could not hear that.
20 rupees out of the 37 rupees. I think 20 rupees can be retained by the company. Other 17 rupees we need to save based on the market conditions.
Yeah, that is between you and your dealer network, right?
Yes.
And out of the company, compared to the last year on a per packet basis, is there any cost increase or anything, or this 20 rupees should directly flow to our bottom line?
This 20 rupees should directly flow down to the bottom line.
Okay, so that 20 rupees into whatever 7 million packets will flow to
Whatever.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Mukesh Panjwani, an investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Sir, my question is that what kind of revenue should we expect from vegetable and rice segment 5 years from now?
Rice, as a compounded, it should grow at more than 20% for the next 5 years. And the rice market itself is growing, and our hybrids are doing well. Not only present one, even the pipeline hybrids should grow. And we are developing other hybrids to cater to the other segments. So we definitely will see more than 20% growth in hybrid rice. And vegetables definitely more than 25% year on year for the next 5 years. So these growth markets are growing, and our hybrids are also doing well, and will do much better than the industry. 20 and 25% CAGR we can take for the next 5 years.
Okay. That's all for my side.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nishit Mansanta, an investor. Please go ahead. Nishit, your line is in the talk mode. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Hi. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Yes, great. So on the gross margin side, I saw that, in the fourth quarter, we got around 12 percentage points more margins compared to Q4. So is that sustainable going forward? And what were the drivers behind that?
Yeah, it's a very lean quarter. We can't compare that on a year-on-year basis because a few lakh rupees make that difference.
Oh, okay.
But overall, if you see the overall cost almost the same, 0.5% less or minus compared to the previous year. So that should remain.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sarvesh, a retail investor. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. Hello?
Yeah.
My question is regarding Telangana market share. Most of the irrigation projects will going to complete in coming 2 to 3 years, giving there will be a 20% or 30% increase in acreages. So what are the strategies Kaveri is following to gain the fresh market sales?
Sorry, I couldn't understand your question. Can you just repeat the question?
As most of the irrigation projects in Telangana state will going to complete in 2 to 3 years, coming 2 to 3 years. So giving chance to increase in acreages, nearly 20 to 30% increase in acreages. So what are the strategies Kaveri Seeds is following to gain the fresh market?
See, it's good that the Telangana government is constructing irrigation projects, and in fact, I just say that 20 to 30% irrigation land has gone up, not the arable land. But it's good, for the state, and if you see, most of the area is already in the rice cultivation. So the farmer will have a different options to go for that, and we have enough products and enough basket to cater all the requirements for the farmers. So definitely it's a good point for the company, and being a Telangana-based company, definitely will have an advantage on that.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nandan Vartak from Wealth Managers. Please go ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. Thanks for the opportunity. So my question is about, we have recently crossed 1 lakh mark on acreage under cultivation for seed production. Can you split that between region like south and north? And add on the question after this.
As of now, I don't have the exact figures of South and North, but we have increased across India. Majority of the production locations are in South and central part of it. So we are increasing in those parts.
Okay. So basically what I'm trying to understand is that at new addition, if that is in central or north part of India, will that have impact on distribution cost and better availability in new regions like we are targeting now in central and north region?
So wherever we choose production areas, we see that the productivity is higher and it's nearer to our processing plants, and definitely we keep in mind to reduce the cost of production as a whole. So most of the points are taken care in setting up production locations. So definitely we will try to decrease the production cost.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Bharat Shah from ASK Investment Managers. Please go ahead.
Hi, Mithun. What will be the percentage of the total profit pool from the non-seeds business for the last year?
Sorry, Bharat bhai,
the total profit pool, how much would be, non-cotton seeds portfolio would have accounted for?
So more than 70% of the profit is from the non-cotton segment.
70%. Okay. Oh, terrific. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vikram, an investor. Please go ahead.
Hi. Question is, what is the difference between hybrid rice and opportunities, both of them?
Sorry to interrupt, Vikram. We are not able to hear you clearly.
Yes, I wanted to understand.
Sir, your voice is breaking up.
Hello, better now?
Sir, can you use the handset mode while speaking, as we are not able to hear you clearly?
Can you hear me now?
Much better.
Hello? Yes, I wanted to understand the difference between hybrid rice and selection rice and the opportunity in both.
So hybrids are what we have a pollination process will be there in hybrid rice. Whereas in selection rice, it's a routine process, but these are the varieties which are developed within the company. So it's the varieties which are developed by the company. So that's the reason we call the selection rice. And the hybrid where the artificial pollination is required, that is called as a hybrid rice. Both the markets are growing, and that's the reason we focus on both the markets.
Is there a difference in the quality or the product itself?
The process itself is different. They both are different.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Tushar Khurana, an investor. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for taking my question, sir. So my first question is on the export side. So as per the presentation, I could see that we are going to enter new markets. So what could be the contribution coming from exports in the coming future for, say, next 3 to 5 years? What is the vision?
In terms of the competition, we don't see a new competition coming in because it's a very long gestation industry. So the competition which is there now will only come in the next 5 to 7 years. So we need to compete with these current players only for at least the next 5 to 7 years.
But sir, in terms of percentage, what could be the contribution coming from the exports?
Sorry?
What could be the contribution in terms of percentage in overall revenue in the coming years that we could anticipate from the exports?
Sir, you are talking about the exports?
Yes, yes.
Right now it's like 20 crores is just 2% of our total revenue. We can double revenues in the next 4 to 5 years. So that should be around the same percentage of 3 to 4%.
Okay. And my second question is, sir, like what could be the top line? How can it grow in the next 3 to 5 years? Any target that we have set for ourselves?
We have given a guidance saying the 10 to 15% top line growth and 15 to 20% bottom line growth for the next 8 to 5 years.
Okay. And then my last question, sir, maybe it would be a repeat question because I was not earlier. The cash on the books that we have, so how are we going to utilize that cash? Is there a buyback on the cards?
We are always doing the buyback for the last 3 years. Definitely, that is one of the options we have.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the last question. I now hand the conference over to the management for the closing comments.
Hi. Thanks all for the participation. And for any further queries or inquiries, you can just reach our investor desk, which is mentioned in the presentation. Thanks. Be safe. Bye.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Kaveri Seed Company Limited, that concludes this conference call. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines. Thank you.